Inside the Birds is back. What's going on, everyone? Geoff Mosher, Adam Caplan, and what a big episode this is going to be because it's been a busy past 24 hours for the Eagles, and then, of course, it's going to be an even busier next 24 to 48 hours. We're going to cover it all. We're going to get through the quarterback transaction that has swept the Delaware Valley. We'll talk about some other minor transactions, and by the end of this podcast, Adam and I will have figured out the 53-man roster, which, as we've been saying lately, doesn't really matter because it changes so much in the next day or two. Those are the geniuses, those that figure out the 53-man roster 2 days later, not the day of. Those are the real geniuses, Adam.
Right. So any Eagles fan could pretty much get 45 right. You should be able to get 45 right.
Oh, at least, yeah.
Right. What it is, the reason why this show is so popular is because we tell you why this guy should make it. We give you information you're not going to find anywhere else. This was the beauty of the show. It's not the 45 we could tell you about. It's the other 8 where you go, wow, I didn't know that about that guy. Last year we told you before anyone knew this, Craig James was going to make the roster.
That's right.
That was our sleeper pick. I got one which I didn't think was even remotely on the radar, but we'll see. Doesn't mean the guy will make it, but we'll get to that. It's just we know certain guys are doing well, and it's a little bit harder this year because of the Tyree Jackson injury. By the rules, you have to hold him if you don't want to put him through waivers through the 53 through the 31st. So there's some challenges, no question.
Yeah, same thing with Landon Dickerson, I think, because they can treat him like Alshon. We'll get into that as far as what kind of list he's able to start off with as they cut down to the 53. And they've already made some moves. We'll get into those as well. Make sure you are logged on to InsideTheBirds.com because we've been giving you a lot of great content along with the podcast and our shows. We do a lot of writing. Andrew DeCecco has been writing a lot of stories. You got to check out his work. So please, when you're on InsideTheBirds.com, subscribe to the website, get the RSS feed, have our content coming straight to you to read every day because this season's around the corner and our content's already we've been trying to get you updated with 2 or 3 stories a day at least. We're trying to kick that up even more once we get into the season. So make sure you're on InsideTheBirds.com. Please subscribe. Check out also our latest Inside the Birds TV interview with Ryan Paganetti. He was Doug Peterson's right-hand man as far as analytic in-game management decisions on 4th down, going for 2 after touchdowns, things throughout the week that they would work on analytically. And I thought Ryan did an excellent job of taking us inside kind of his mind, the NovaCare's mind, their thinking on in-game analytics. And as we say, we'll see if Nick Sirianni kind of takes that torch and carries it forward because Ryan Pagnetti is no longer with the team. And I don't know. We have yet to really figure out how aggressive Nick Sirianni is going to be compared to Doug, who is the most aggressive coach in the NFL.
Yeah, Paganetti was awesome. He took us inside of the 2017 season. Stuff we had not heard before. There's some stuff we were like, wow, okay, that's interesting. And right. The comments on YouTube are phenomenal. People loved it. And that's the kind of things we try to bring to you first before anyone knows about this guy doing media stuff. So we tried to get to Ryan. We were able to. Nice guy. Didn't know him, but it was good to talk to him. And he's already said he'd love to come on another time, and we'll probably do it. Like you said, we don't know. See, one of the mysteries of this season, because it's a new coaching staff, there's some stuff we definitely know, some stuff we think we know, and there's some stuff we don't know. Right. And it's the analytics part. We just don't. We know they'll use it, but how much of it, as you said, compared to Peterson, will they do it? That we don't know.
Yeah, no. Look forward to finding out. A lot of fact-finding going on this year for the Eagles. Real quick, speaking of kind of things we didn't know that just resurfaced, how about Nick Sirianni dropping a Jim Bob Cooter bomb on the media the other day? Who knew that Jim Bob Cooter was in some form or fashion working alongside I didn't even know there was a connection between Nick Sirianni and Jim Bob Cooter. I only know Jim Bob Cooter from having that great name and being with the Lions.
Or as some people call him, James Robert. Yes.
James Robert Cooper.
That was funny. Exactly. So as soon as he said, I'm like, what? I happened to hear it live. I'm like, what? And I went to the website. He wasn't listed on there. So maybe he's a consultant. Who knows? But you're right. I thought that was interesting. Yeah. I wonder what his exact, I guess he's a researcher, which is really how Jeremiah Washburn came on to the Eagles. It's just doing research and helping for game planning. And his role obviously grew significantly a couple of years ago, but he's now just doing defensive line stuff. So, look,
Now there's a tie there between Jeremiah Washburn and Jim Bob Cooter, right? They
yes,
were
for
both on
Detroit,
the Lions staff
yes,
together.
yes, yeah, and that may have had something to do with it, which is typically the way it happens. Coaches know coaches, doesn't have to be the head coach, and he does have an analytical background, from what I understand, a little bit at least. But he's an offensive coach. I mean, he's mostly, he's bounced around a little bit, but I don't know. I'm not, I'm sure we'll find out at some point why exactly he's here. But as you mentioned, he does have a tie, at least with one coach.
Yeah. Hey, listen, any chance I get to say Jim Bob Cooter,
yeah,
I'm going to take that opportunity to say it because it's one of the best names in the NFL. So, but interesting, Adam, we had talked, months ago, we suspected and we thought, based on some things we heard, that Nick, like many first-year coaches, would try to bring in a senior advisor. Remember, we tossed a few names around, and I guess that never happened. And I wonder if this is kind of a small example. This is different. This is not a guy who's on the per se the offensive staff. It sounds like he's assigned, like you said, to maybe some special projects or such. But at least he is a guy, and he's also never been a head coach before. So
correct. Yeah, it definitely would not be totally different. Yeah, totally different from what we were talking about. But yeah, I'm a little bit. What we were told is it was under consideration, but they wound up not doing it. But nevertheless, he's got a pretty robust staff of the guys who are younger, guys who are older, guys who are connected to him, guys who are not connected to him. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so enough about that, and make sure you're checking out Q&A this week. It'll drop Wednesday morning, as it always does. They're going to obviously go through the 53-man roster because it'll become official by then, and they'll have some really interesting remarks and observations. So make sure you're checking out the Quentin Michael and Jason Avant show Q&A on Inside the Birds. All right, we're going to get into the quarterback situation, the trade, and everything. First, we're going to talk about our friends at Deal Dash. Adam and I, we tell you all the time, we had our athletic exploits back in the day. They're over. We've retired from the field a long, long time ago, but we are still winning because we're using Deal Dash, the online shopping platform that's actually fun. Deal Dash is the longest running penny auction website and app around. There are so many great deals that it just sounds too good to be true. Like we've seen a car go for $900, brand new TV, less than $2. Just so many wonderful items you can get on Deal Dash for a fraction of the price you would expect to pay. So don't be a loser. Stop paying full retail price for things you want and get on Deal Dash. Go to DealDash.com or download the app. And when you register, use the promo code ITB for a special offer for some bonus free PIDs. That's ITB to get a special offer for some bonus free PIDs. Did you get that app, that laptop yet that you were trying to get?
No, I have a laptop. I'm trying to get it. I want to get an iPad. I just haven't.
Right, the iPad.
Now we're on Monday here, so once we get past Tuesday and all the transactions, I'll have more time to do that. So yeah, I need to do that.
Sounds good. Okay, Adam. So I had this funny internal conflict when the Eagles traded for Gardner Minshew, and it wasn't really about me. It was about just seeing some of the takes that are out there. Like, he's. I mean. Everywhere, even some national pundits, like people saying, boy, the Eagles really are not truly committed to Jalen Hurts. And this is just another reason, there's the Deshaun Watsons and there's the Joe Flacco's. They haven't named him the starter, and now they go get Gardner Minshew. And I'm like, why can't the Eagles just go out and get a third quarterback without everybody getting all crazy and reading too much into it? But then I realized why, Adam. I realized why. And I thought, it really was just last year that they drafted Jalen Hurts, and he was supposed to start off as the third quarterback because Nate Sudfeld was the backup and Carson Wentz was the starter. And it was pretty quickly after that all of a sudden Jalen Hurts was the second quarterback, and they had lost faith in Nate Sudfeld. And then there they are in November and December, and Jalen Hurts is the starting quarterback like he is now. So I guess I can't eliminate all the crazy conspiracy theories because anybody who had him last year turned out to be right. In some weird way that they got there. But let's just say what it is. Right now, Gardner Minshew was acquired because this team doesn't lie when they say they're always looking for young developmental quarterbacks. A 6th-round pick is the cheapest price you could pay, right, for a guy who has 2 years left. And he comes here, and the way I see it, he starts as your number 3 quarterback. Joe Flacco is here for a reason. $3.5 million committed to him. He's not getting cut tomorrow because they traded for Gardner Minshew. But I guess, Adam, what I think would be interesting is, let's say it's late October, November, Jalen Hurts gets hurt and he's going to be out for a long period of time, 4 games, 5 games, 6 games. Then I think maybe you can have a discussion about who becomes the quarterback in that situation, because Joe Flacco is only here for this year. But if you have a 5 to 6 game sample to maybe want to see Gardner Minshew take over to see if he can be your if he's learned your offense, if he's playing well, he can be your backup for next year, or maybe even, quote unquote, compete for the starting job. That might be an opportunity to then see Gardner Minshew and still have Joe be the backup.
Yeah, I highly doubt that would happen. Just, from what I understand, that it would not be something they would do unless they just number one, as you said, they have to be completely eliminated from the playoff race. Number one. Mm-hmm. Number two, they would have to not feel good about Flacco, because if let's say they're around 500, right, and they have a chance to make the playoffs, they're going with Flacco. There's no discussion. There's
definitely.
Yeah, there's no hypotheticals. He's the quarterback. For your scenario to happen, they have to think, you know what? It's kind of, I see where you're going here. It's like, look, Joe's not going to be with us anymore. Next year, we like Joe, but we have Minshew for another year. This is the real story is Minshew's got 2 years left on his deal. Right. He signed through 22. Flacco is not. So Minshew, if it all works out, will be the backup next year, and Hurts is the starter. Or if Hurts doesn't do well and they trade for Watson or somebody else, Minshew could be the backup. But what he really does, and this is very important to understand from a football standpoint, this stuff is really key. He could run their scout team. Very important, what's called the look team. Coaches love that, where you could give let's say they're going against Russell Wilson, right? Mm-hmm. He wears the number 3 that week and practices the scout team quarterback. He'll give them different looks because he's a scrambler. Yes. Gardner Minshew is a scrambler. He's very athletic, doesn't have a great arm. But by the way, it's 6 AFC Rookies of the Week in 2019, coached by John DeFilippo in 2019. He was really good. He got exposed for what he is the floor was backup quarterback, a high-end backup quarterback.
Yeah.
He played his ass off for a while, and then he started to regress, made some bad mistakes throwing the football. He's a pretty smart guy, but he started forcing throws, and they had offensive line issues. And you saw what he is. He's a very good backup quarterback. He's really not a starting quarterback, save for, like you said, a short period of time.
Right. One thing, he's kind of short, right? Is he like
barely 6 feet?
He's 6 feet on a good day, right? He can make most throws, but he doesn't have the strongest arm in the world. He does get out of the pocket well. I don't know. He's kind of like a Jeff Garcia, a modern day Jeff Garcia.
You know what? I like that.
A lot of those second reaction type plays and gets out of the pocket and rallies the team because he makes some throws that people probably think he shouldn't be able to make. But yeah, that's why he's a good investment for the long term as a possible backup quarterback. Totally agree, and we'll see what happens going forward. But I should have couched what I said earlier when I said if Jalen Hurts is going to be down for 5 or 6 games. You're right, and the Eagles are just not doing well at the time, and they're out of the playoffs. That's when you would turn to Minshew.
Yeah, that would be the only way they would consider it. Joe Flacco, they're pretty happy with him. I just kind of laugh. It's some of the stuff in our market. I don't get involved with Twitter anymore to get in debates or anything. But some of the stuff, as you were talking about, that was out there. I mean, some of the conspiracy theories. I'm like, where do they come up with this stuff? Even the media. It's like I'm like, okay, all right. Yeah. You obviously haven't talked to anyone. You're just flapping. Okay.
Now, sometimes there's the unseen stuff, though, Adam. Like, we did not see the coaching staff last year losing so much faith in Nate Sudfeld that Jalen Hurts by week 1 or week 2 was already the backup quarterback. Remember, he was supposed to be just what we talked about with Minshew last year, and then, they clearly lost it in Nate. Now, we can't compare Nate Sudfeld to Joe Flacco at all.
That's my point, right?
Yeah, sure. I'm just saying, what the only thing we couldn't see that could maybe happen is that Joe just all of a sudden falls off the face of the earth. As
if he had bad,
terrible practices or something.
Yeah, it would have to be something very extreme for this to happen. But I was like everyone when the Eagles first announced it. I was like, what the hell? Like, what? I don't understand it. Like, why do they need 3 quarterbacks? I'm like, let me, I checked into it in 20 minutes or 15 minutes. Like, all right, now I got 2 or 3 people who gave me some stuff. And I looked up his contract. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right. It seems like I forgot that this is only his 3rd year. And I'm like, oh, wow, no, he could be the backup next year. It all makes sense now.
They got to keep total sense.
Yeah.
Listen, you and I or anybody out there may not always agree with how the Eagles go about their quarterback acquisition. Sometimes I think it's a no-brainer slam dunk. I think getting Minshew for a 6th-round pick is a really great call. I still think, taking a backup quarterback in the 2nd round is not a great call. That's fine. You can, as a fan or an observer, agree or disagree. But the one thing we can all agree on is the Eagles aren't lying to you. They really do think differently about the quarterback position, and they really are always going to make moves that, if they can, to bring in young developmental quarterbacks. And this is just exhibit C, D, E, F, whatever you want to call it. So we'll see where it goes from there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we can set the record straight there on right now what the totem pole is. It is Jalen Hurts. He's the starter. Joe Flacco's the backup. Gardner Minshew is just getting here. He's got to learn the offense, got to show he knows the offense, got to perform well. He's going to be your look team guy for quite a while, and we'll see what happens way down the road. Pretty good QB room, Adam, though, as we finish off this. I mean, it's pretty solid right there. You got a Super Bowl champion. You got Jalen Hurts, a starting quarterback who's, trying to come into his own here, and we'll see what he is. He has a potential to be a very good starting quarterback. And then you have Gardner Minshew, who has already outperformed any expectations of ever being a 6th-round pick.
I know.
Just by what he's done.
And it's funny, the Eagles gave up a conditional 6th-round pick next year. So, look, we'll see how this works out. I just don't. I'm surprised that they want to keep 3 quarterbacks, but I understand why for the long term, because he could be the backup next year. And don't forget, Dave Caldwell, the GM who drafted for the Jaguars, is now on the Eagles staff as a personnel executive.
Yes, personnel executive. Do you think that was a big factor in getting Minshew?
Look, he's got intel. He drafted the guy.
You would just get intel on him.
Yeah, I mean, you would have intel. And from what I understand, the Eagles who actually liked him for that 19 draft. I don't know what their grade was on him, but there was a guy, they definitely had a draftable grade on him. But it's certainly something that was surprised. I was definitely surprised. I'm not going to lie to you. I was very surprised they did this, but I have a much better understanding. I certainly understand it, where the Jalen Hurts one, I'll never agree with that. If you and I are running the show, we don't draft backups conceptually. We never draft backups in the 2nd round. It doesn't work. I'll never buy that.
Right. I know some people will say, well, what happens if he turns out to be a great quarterback and a franchise quarterback? And I would say, sometimes the result doesn't always justify the process.
Right. That's not why we did it.
If they drafted a kicker in the 2nd round and the kicker wound up being a 5-time All-Pro, like Sebastian Janikowski was,
exactly.
Yes. You know what? He was a hell of a kicker, but I still would never use a 1st-round pick on a kicker because he was a great kicker. Right. It's just It's the process. All right. Let's talk about some of the transactions that the Eagles have already made and leading up to the cutdown day, which is Tuesday, 4:00 p.m.
Tomorrow.
Right. Waived Elijah Holyfield, the running back, who I thought had a good preseason. I hope for him he lands on with somebody. I know running backs tend to be a dime a dozen, but he actually, to me, Adam, I felt like he looked more like he could get to the edges a little quicker this year. Caught the ball, which we didn't see much of, and he's not known for. Caught the ball pretty well, so maybe he catches on with somebody.
Yeah, I mean, he's a power back. That's really what he is. Maybe a kickoff returner if you really need him to. He's a 3rd or 4th back at best. I'll never quite understand. They kept bringing him back. It's like I don't know how much of a chance he got. But the fact of the matter is, the fact that he was cut this early, he didn't even make it to Tuesday. He was cut actually. Though they were announced on Sunday.
Yes.
Yeah. So they could get claimed off waivers later today. As you said, maybe he'll go somewhere else. Mark and Michelle, we knew he wasn't going to make it. Angeline just came in here because they were down at the end. Jaquan Bailey, who they gave some fully guaranteed money to, and Rashad Smith, who maybe wind up on their practice squad, but none of them were certainly. If any of them made the roster, it would have been breaking news and a shock. There was no way they were making it. No way.
Right. Angeline, a tight end, by the way. Yeah,
yes.
But yes, they were down a tight end, so they needed to bring him in. And then, of course, Kerryon Johnson was waived off of IR with an injury settlement. So does that mean he's actually healthy now, right?
What it is it just means that they had no intention of keeping him this season on IR. So they reached a settlement with Drew Rosenhaus's agent, and he passed through waivers on claims. So it's a shame. This knee that he's had trouble the last couple of years, just to not allow him to be the guy that they thought they were getting off waivers, and we knew that he would have been the best pass protector had he made the roster, but he never had a chance. He just was not right physically, and there you go.
All right. That is going to wrap up the transactions that they've made. And again, they have till 4:00 Tuesday to be down to 53. This is, by the way, the weirdest thing ever, Adam, because of the way it used to be. Like, the Eagles are going to practice on Monday. Right? Used to be your last game of the preseason was Thursday. You were off Friday, and then Saturday there would be a few cuts made, and then Saturday was an off day, also a few cuts made. I think Jeffrey Lurie usually had like a barbecue on either Saturday or Sunday for the team, and then Sunday the final cuts are made, and then
Saturday would be the cuts. Saturday.
Sorry, you're right. Saturday would be the final, right? But so you would never have to practice the day before a cut down. In other words, they're going to practice on today, and there are probably going to be some I don't know, unless they announce the moves before practice, but it's going to be a little weird, right? Like you're going to be running. Give me someone who we absolutely know is going to get cut right now. You're going to be running Raekwon Williams out there, a third string defensive tackle today, and then all of a sudden tomorrow,
it's true.
You're out of here. I mean,
I've actually
he gets hurt.
Exactly. Several years ago, I was at a camp where a guy was traded. So he was taken actually off the field. It wasn't the tall receiver that was with the Titans got traded to the Eagles. I was there the day that got traded, but it wasn't
it wasn't Dennis Kelly and Dorial Green Beckham. Okay.
Right, DGB, right. Boy, did we miss on that evaluation. Man, I thought for sure. No, I know later. But I thought for sure the Eagles fleeced them. Boy, they got fleeced. Dennis Kelly. I mean, he turned out he got a couple contracts from the Titans over the years. Wow,
he's caught more touchdown passes than Dorial Green Beckham.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's what does that tell you?
DGB.
Yeah. But anyway, so it's going to be a very weird and kind of this. Every NFL team faces it, but they're going to practice today, Monday, and there are going to be guys who are.
It's true.
It's like, thanks for the practice, buddy. Now, turn in your playbook.
Yeah, they'll probably tell him before practice. I would almost certain of it. That'd be very odd
to the media, right? Then it's like, oh, the people who watch practice for the first 10 minutes,
right?
Like, well,
right. I mean, you would, yeah. That would be crazy though if the guy practiced and they cut him. Why
didn't the NFL think about this when they made it Tuesday? Did they realize
the teams
were going to practice on Monday?
I'm sorry.
Did they not realize teams are still going to try to get a practice in on Monday?
I don't know, but it's weird. Not all teams are practicing Monday because we had games Sunday, and it was weird. They didn't have any games Thursday. It was Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Right.
Some teams will practice, some won't. But yeah, it is kind of weird. But yeah, I kind of liked it on Saturday, to be honest with you, the cut down day.
Yeah, I wouldn't have minded if it was this past Saturday. That would have been great.
Definitely.
All right, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code ITB to receive $200 in free bets when you place a $1 bet on any Week 1 game. That's right. Just use the promo code ITB. You get $200 in free bets when you place a $1 bet on any Week 1 game using the DraftKings Sportsbook app. All right, let's do our 53-man roster projection. I think some of this is going to be pretty simple and some is going to be complex.
Ooh, yep. Yeah, this is where this could be fun because I'm struggling with a couple of them, but I'll explain why. So here's what I got. The quarterback, we know who they are. Hurts, Flacco, and Minshew.
Right.
The same 4 running backs we said 2 months ago will be on the roster. The same guys. Sanders, Howard, Scott, and Gainwell. What did you think, though? By the way, we'll talk about the Jet this last preseason game as we go through these players a little bit. But I thought it was interesting how they obviously Sanders wasn't going to play, but they rested Howard. They played Boston Scott and Gainwell. Yeah,
because they were resting not just starters, but kind of some significant backups as well. Like Barnett and Josh Sweat didn't play, although I guess Barnett still has the shoulder, but I don't think he would have played anyway.
Yep.
What did I think of them resting it? It didn't surprise me, but I was so happy to see Gainwell get the work that he got. And as I wrote in my observations piece on InsideTheBirds.com, one thing that I was impressed with Gainwell, 2 things actually. One is that I thought he ran pretty well between the tackles. We knew coming out of Memphis, Adam, that he had limited experience as an actual running back, and that he had the book on him was that he tend to bounce it outside, which is kind of the book on a lot of rookie running backs who are shifty like that, right? I thought he ran hard between the tackles. And I studied closely. There were a few times in pass protection where he gave it his all. It's not the most picturesque but he's also what 200 pounds soaking wet,
Yeah.
right? I mean, he's not the biggest guy, but I thought his technique was square and his ability to read where the pressure was coming from was good. And he had a help on a chip that I thought was pretty good. I know everybody has seen that college clip of him chipping Micah Parsons, right, and just planting Parsons, but I don't know that that's a complete picture of what he is as a guy in pass protection.
Yeah, he's known as an average pass protector.
Right.
But
I
okay,
saw
so
him struggle in a few camp practices in that regard.
Yeah, I mean, he's a work in progress, but he's going to have a nice role. I'm predicting once he gets up to speed, like 5 to 7 touches a game. I certainly could see that. He also he might be their kickoff returner. We'll have to see. But so, and obviously, when you have someone that's different, tell me, jump in and say, I don't have him on the roster.
No, I think those 4 running backs are making it. I just wonder, does Boston Scott now not really have a role? I think you just can't rely on Gainwell right off the bat to definitely be able to handle as a rookie everything. And Boston Scott still is pretty decent in pass protection, and he could run if you need him to run 5 or 6 times. So I don't think his job should be in jeopardy. He'll probably
Scott's
you hope he doesn't return kicks, right? You want Gainwell to return kicks now.
Yeah, I mean, Scott can do it. Scott will have a role. It could vary per game, but it's really going to be on third down is where we had said Sanders is probably going to lose some of his juice to Gainwell once they trust him, and Scott. Sanders will still be, he'll be obviously be involved in third down, but I don't think he'll be the solo guy anymore because of the drops.
Right. Well, here's what I hope. I hope that they give him the chance to catch the ball, or they don't just turn him into a 2-down running back week 1 against Atlanta. I mean, I really want to see this kid get the opportunity.
Sure. Oh no, he won't be a 2-down back, but he's just on third down. I don't think he'll be on every third down. I don't think he's earned it with his hands. I don't know if they'll trust him totally on every third down.
I guess, we will see. So those are your 4 running backs. You got 3 quarterbacks. That's 7 players right there. I had a lot of trouble at wide receiver. And as we record this, I'm still not 100% sure. I don't think anybody should be certain of what's going on, because I think that with Howie and how aggressive he is, it wouldn't surprise me if this is one of the spots that the 53 is going to be changed the next day, or there might be some movement there at the bottom end. But you and I both agree that the obvious candidates to make the team are Devontae Smith, Jalen Reagor, Greg Ward, Quez Watkins. Right?
Yep.
Your 4 is right there.
Yep.
All right. I think they're probably going to keep Fulgham as well. Do you?
I struggle with this one. I don't think he's earned a roster spot. This is just my opinion. I'm not saying they feel that way, but he's fallen off so badly. This is.
You think J-Jaw then?
I mean, but let me just finish this off. Fulgham has been cut 3 times in his career. There's a reason for it. We've outlined his issues exclusively for our listeners last November. We kind of had great intel on all the receivers, and this one is this is one of the biggest fallouts I've seen for guys so gifted. I kind of get a chuckle for people say that the Pittsburgh game he didn't do all that well. The numbers were inflated. I don't know what tape you're watching. You obviously weren't watching all 22. He was phenomenal in that game. He's really gifted, but he obviously has issues where he just can't handle disappointment and so forth. I don't know if this is a guy you want on your football team based on the issues that he had in training camp. He was actually started to start training camp, and he's been demoted. Watkins, you could say, has earned a promotion. That's fine, but it's more about Fulgham than Watkins. That's why it's happened. It's really strange. So
listen, I can't argue with you, because I was making that same the argument a couple of podcasts ago. I said I'm not sure if this guy's going to make it, but I think, Adam, that this is going to be the case where he might make it and then be gone the next day. Like, I still think there might be some trade value with him because of what he did last year. Yeah. Whereas I don't know that there's any trade value with JJ Arcega-Whiteside at all, or even any value to him being on the. I mean, you need 5. I don't know if you can go 4 receivers. So I guess that's why I'm picking Fulgham over Arcega-Whiteside. But then if Fulgham goes, it's somebody's coming back at that position, I guess.
I agree. I absolutely could see them trading Fulgham, trading Arcega-Whiteside. I don't see them keeping 6. Man, if they kept both of those guys, I'd be shocked. That'd be a stunner. I would not see that coming.
Be hard to trade J-Jaw, don't you think? I mean, maybe
right. No, right. But what I'm saying is, it'd be hard for me to see them keeping 6, keeping Fulgham and Arcega-Whiteside.
Yeah, definitely.
And here's the other problem against keeping 4. Ward, no matter what Sirianni said, because he was asked this, Ward's not. You could play him outside, but he's not an outside receiver. We all know this. Sirianni is not the best fibber. I mean, it's kind of comical. And all of our listeners know Greg Ward's a slot receiver only. He's played a little bit outside when they've needed him to, when they've had injuries. But so I don't know. They've got to do. They need a veteran in the worst way. To add to this receiver core. To me, they're making a very bad mistake after the 53. If a decent veteran could be added who's a leader, you got to add him. You cannot ignore that position.
All right. So if we're being held to the letter of the law here on the 53, we both think they're keeping 5.
Yeah.
I'm going with Fulgham, thinking though that it's going to change. Are you going Fulgham and Arcega-Whiteside 6, and then it changes to 5? Or
no.
So which is your 5th guy?
I'm going with Fulgham. Yeah, okay. I'm going with Fulgham.
Mm-hmm.
I should put an asterisk there.
So John Hightower is not making this team.
Yeah, that would be. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm saying I don't think he's done anything to deserve to make it.
Yeah, that would be surprising to me if he made it. I don't see it, but it ain't my call.
There you go. All right, tight ends. Man, this is another position where the number I'm thinking they're keeping may not be the same number 24 hours later.
Yep.
Dallas Goedert, Zach Ertz. Yep. That's clear right now. Richard Rodgers, I'm not so sure on.
Oh, wait. You're not sure Rodgers or Jack Stoll?
Well, see, I think they're going to keep Stoll, and I think they're going to keep Ty Jackson. And then as soon as the next day happens, they'll probably put Ty Jackson on injured reserve. Right. But I think Rodgers gets waived, goes through waivers.
Well, he can't be waived.
Sorry, he gets cut. Right. Yep. He doesn't have to go through waivers.
Yep.
And then they bring him back.
Oh, after week 1.
After week 1.
See, It's funny. It's funny you say this because that's what I've been trying to do. Who's the guy who they're going to play the roster tango with? Mm-hmm. Hey, stay in town. We'll bring you back either the next day if you're a non-vested guy if you clear waivers, or if you're a vested guy. Hey, we're not going to guarantee your contract, but we'll bring you back week 2. That's a good one. I had not thought about the one. That one would make a lot of sense.
But here's the issue.
Okay.
All right. I thought about that, but then I thought, should you be worried about maybe losing Richard Rodgers? And I'm like, does anybody need a tight end?
But you would have that worked out with his agent.
Yeah, but if the Saints, this is what I'm reading. The Saints lost their backup tight end, and they lost Troutman for a little bit, right? He has an ankle injury, I think.
Yeah.
All right, so they're a little thin at tight end right now. They're not actually, and I wouldn't say it's their strongest position anyway. Troutman's okay. Mm-hmm. I don't know much about Nick Vannett, but I don't know. Would you worry that if you cut Richard Rodgers, that the Saints would sign him immediately?
Well, again, you'd have to. Yeah, I mean they know the agent pretty well. They've dealt with him for a while, so that would be interesting to see what they would do there. But you would have it all worked out. I mean, you definitely would. What now? To your point, if the Saints said, "Hey, we'll give you $2 million, we'll fully guarantee it," now that changes the narrative. That changes it. So yeah,
of course,
sure. If you cut him,
of course, yeah. But while you have Zach Ertz on the roster, if you're not moving him, then it lessens the need to even have Richard Rodgers. You could go forward with Goddard, Ertz, Stoll, and Jackson, and then even if you moved Ertz a week or 2 in, you'd still have Goddard, Stoll. And then you could that's when you bring back Richard Rodgers. You tell him to hang around for a few weeks.
Yeah, I would be very surprised if they don't trade Ertz, if they're not unable to do something by Tuesday. I don't see him like they would trade him in a couple weeks. That wouldn't happen. The next deadline would be it's not like a deadline, but the trade deadline would be really the urgency. As I said, once they got through the draft, the Eagles lost all leverage. They needed a break. I've used this now for 3 or 4 months. Mm-hmm. The leverage shifts. It shifts. You don't have the leverage anymore because teams feel the urgency to make trades because they fill the roster out. So, and plus the other thing, as I said in our last show last week, helping out Hurts, having a quality pass target like Ertz, they need that. They don't have experienced pass targets, and with Goddard's injury history. Mm-hmm. Rager has not proven himself. Greg Ward is okay. I mean, yeah, he's a slot receiver, but he's a decent player. You can't count on Watkins at all based on last year and in the offseason. Now, he's certainly had a nice preseason and training camp, but he's not proven. And Devontae Smith, we love him, but he's a rookie. So, to me, they're better off keeping Ertz unless they get blown away.
All right, let's so So that's a fluid situation right there. We agree Ty Jackson made it though, right? They're not.
Well, it's not that he made
though.
it. You can't cut him. We can, but you don't want to expose him. You can't. He goes through waivers. You cannot put him on IR until 4:01 Eastern tomorrow.
Right.
So that's. But
could you play this game though, Adam?
Okay.
I get that he has a great camp, had a very good camp, and then that probably caught the attention of not just reporters but other teams around the league. But if the Eagles were to waive him, another team that claimed him, is another team really going to use a waiver claim on an injured developmental tight end and put that guy on their 53?
Sure, that's a fair point. Yeah, that's a fair point. I'm really curious how they do this because of the Dickerson situation and the McLeod situation. They're taking up roster spots unless they keep them on. If they remove them from the list, they count against the roster. If they keep them on the list, they don't. So it's fascinating to see what happens there.
All right, another position that's fascinating that we have to get through. Offensive line. All right, we know the starting five are making it: Lane Johnson, Brandon Brooks, Jason Kelsey, Isaac Seumalo, Jordan Mailata. That's your starting five. Yep. We're going to call the left tackle position for like the fifth time on ITB, just in case anybody doesn't realize. Jordan Mailata won. He's the left tackle, and he won it going away. So now let's look at depth. All right, let's talk about Andre.
Yeah, actually, to be honest with you, I don't find this one hard at all. This took me like 30 seconds. Yeah, because I kind of know. And the only one is we don't know is what they're going to do with Dickerson, whether he's going to be active on the active roster or not. Because you just named Dillard, right? Herbig and Driscoll on the roster. Like, who else could possibly make it?
LaRaven Clark, I thought. Well, here's the thing: if
That's a tough one.
You need a backup left tackle. All right, you need a backup tackle.
Yeah,
Jack Driscoll has not played left tackle. Yeah. They see him as a right tackle, interior offensive lineman. Okay, so then Andre Dillard can be a backup left tackle if he's on the team. Is he making the team?
Oh yeah, well, yeah, they're not cutting him. Obviously, they'll never cut him.
Are they going to try to get rid of him for a sixth rounder?
For which one?
For a something rounder. Are they going to?
Well, they have to. I don't know what they would be asking for, but I can't see them taking less than a third. The guy was a first rounder 2 years ago. Now, obviously, if they trade Dillard, Clark's on the team. Oh man, here's my question. See, if I knew Dickerson would still be on reserve NFI, I definitely would keep LaRaven Clark. I was 50-50 on him. He's the only one where I'm like, should he be on the roster or not? I mean, I know he just came back. He'd be a nice guy to have because he's positional versatility, right, left tackle, and guard. Mm-hmm. But how many guys are you going to keep in the offensive line?
Well, I think you start off by keeping 4 reserves, but then Dickerson automatically goes right to – what does he go do? He makes the 53, but then he goes on PUP? I forget how it works.
Yeah, well, yeah. What it is he stays on the list. He stays on the list that he's on. Right. Which was he came in hurt.
He was on NFI.
Yeah, should be NFI, I believe. Let me see. Yes, he's on NFI, correct.
Right. But so he has to go to a different list now.
No, it's just reserve NFI. It's same list. It just you go on the.
If you had to go on active reserve NFI, then you're out for the year, though.
No. What happens is if you put him on reserve before August 31st, he's out for the year. He's now on active. Right. He's on active before the 31st. If you move him to reserve at the 53, then he's out 6 weeks. That's how it works.
Okay. So he doesn't take up a roster spot, but he's out 6 weeks.
Nope. He counts on it now because he's on active. Yes.
Yeah, but right now there's not the cut down. But at 4:00 Tuesday, he can go on that list and not count against the 53.
Correct. So
and that's why leave you then with just 3 backups. That would leave you with, in your scenario, Dillard, Herbig, and Driscoll.
Yes. Now again, if Dickerson counts against the roster, he's my 9th. I just don't see them keeping 10 if Dickerson's active. That's a lot. I mean,
no, I think Dickerson wouldn't count. So here's like we know he's going to go on some kind of list as soon as.
No. How do you? No, he wouldn't be. He would either be on.
Play.
But he would go on the 53-man roster, right. or he stays on NFI and he goes to reserve NFI.
Right. Well, I don't know because I don't know if they see him being able to play in the first 6
Right.
weeks.
Now I don't know. I'm with you. I don't know where, because he hasn't practiced since last year. To
Right.
me, if you and I would say, listen, let's just give him the 6 weeks to get ready.
Yeah, that's why I would keep one more lineman. I would keep
That would be
4
LaRaven Clark.
backups, not
Yeah.
3, and that would be
Right.
LaRaven Clark. Right.
Right. That would be LaRaven Clark because, as you said, Dillard's only a left tackle. He would be the backup left. Driscoll could be the backup right, and Herbig's the backup center and guard. Now you would have enough guys to do it. You don't have a lot of experience, but LaRaven Clark, to finish before we get to defense, to finish this off, I would agree with your assessment. If Dickerson stays on NFI and which means he's on reserve, he misses 6 weeks, Clark's got to be on the team. If Dickerson's on the roster, that's where I have Clark off the roster.
I would agree with you. And I've made this case before. You should hold on to Andre Dillard and keep trying to coach him up and see if you can't get something productive out of him as a backup. But we'll see. All right. So specialty. So that would be to cap that would be 9 offensive linemen if you're keeping Landon Dickerson.
Okay. Yeah, and I have 26 in offense. Yes, three quarterbacks, 4 running backs, 5 receivers. Okay. Now this sounds ridiculous, but I have 5 tight ends for one day.
Right,
Yeah.
for one day.
Right.
And I think I agree with you. I think that they are going to be, because of some tight end injuries around the league, a little reluctant to want to release Richard Rodgers and then try to bring him back after week 1.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Because somebody would pay Richard, like more than the Eagles would.
We'll see. But
in this situation, yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. But Frank Bauer's the agent who they've known forever. He had Ryan Matthews and several Eagles over the years, so they know him. They'll have it worked out. But yeah, now they're obviously not going to keep more than 4, and who knows what they'll do if they'll move a tight end. And I agree with your assessment earlier, as you were saying earlier. There's going to be some movement on this roster, whether it's trade, getting future picks, whether it's the receiver position. As you said, we call it the fluid 53. There's no such thing as final 53. I kind of laugh because it doesn't happen. I've never heard of a team that kept their 53 all season. It's never happened before.
It always sucks, by the way, for the guys who make it the final 50 or the first 53, and then like 24 hours later, like, sorry,
and the agents, the young agents who screwed up, and they congratulate the player on Twitter, and I cringe. I'm like, man, why would you do that? And I've seen it too often where the guy gets. Yeah,
I know.
Exactly. The guy gets cut the next day. It should never do that.
Yeah. All right. Don't think we need to really spend too much time on the special teams guys. There's going to be 3. The kicker is Jake Elliott. The long snapper is Rick Lovato, and the punter is Aaron Sipos. So
Sipos.
Yes. I know. I see that wrong all the time. Sipos. Aaron Sipos, who is Australian, correct?
Yeah, he's good find for the Eagles. I got to give him credit.
Good.
Yeah,
he has been good.
They do a good job of Jake Elliott. They did some research on him when they got him from but did they trade for him from the Bengals or waiver? I can't remember how they got him, but
he was a waiver claim, I think, from the Bengals. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Actually from their practice squad in 2017. Yeah. So they did a good job there. Lovato is a good one, replacing the great John Dornbos. So they'll give him credit. Whoever it is, they know what they're doing.
All right, before we get to defensive, our defensive roster, we want to pause and tell our friends to go check out PHLSportsNation.com, enhancing the fans' experience with their coverage of Philadelphia sports teams. They are for the fan, by the fan. That's their motto. So look for all their great work on PHLSportsNation.com, and also go find them on Twitter at PHLSportsNation. We'll pause real quick for another word from our great sponsors, including our friends at Sky Motor Cars. And if you do head into Sky Motor Cars out there in Westchester, tell them Adam and Geoff sent you. You will get a great deal. All right, let's talk about the defensive side of the roster. Defensive line's always fun, Adam, because there's, we've had this discussion about like these pass rushers like Kerrigan and they counting, and then also the Sam linebacker position. Is that a pass rushing position or a backer position? So a little bit different than we've ever had to decide in years past. Let's start with defensive ends. They're keeping Brandon Graham. They're keeping Josh Sweat. They're keeping Derek Barnett. And they're keeping Ryan Kerrigan.
Yep.
4 defensive ends. Now, you don't have Teron Jackson making it.
I don't. And here's the problem I had with it. because I count the whole group as linemen.
Mm-hmm.
Are they going to really keep 10 linemen? I mean,
That's what we get into.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think you're right, because I also with Teron Jackson, if I just named those 4 defensive ends, and we know that Milton Williams is also going to play some defensive end, and is a higher draft pick and was very productive, then I don't even see why you have Teron Jackson. He's not going to be able to get on the field, and he needs work anyway. So practice squad's best for him. I don't think anybody Here's one thing though, Adam.
Okay.
He had a pretty good game against the Jets, and the Jets are losing pass rushers left and right. I know they traded for Shaq Lawson. That'll help them out and all, but sometimes you get fearful of the team you just played and showcased a pretty young, talented player to, that they might want to jump on him. Other than that, I don't know if anybody else around the league is going to be like, whoa, Teron Jackson. But he did have a nice game against the Jets.
Yeah. So, and you're right. Look, that Carl Lawson trade. They traded for Lawson, and they had Lawson get hurt.
Yeah.
This is like all line for me. It didn't take me very long. I pretty much knew going in what I was going to, what my numbers would look like. D tackles, Cox, Hargrave, McGill, who's Mr. Training Camp. I mean, in terms of sacks in practice and sacks in the preseason. Milton Williams, obviously. The Ridgeway, I have him on there. He had a nondescript training camp. I know they've liked him.
Mm-hmm.
I have him on there just because they've liked him, the front office, but it would shock me if they cut him.
It would not shock me if they cut him as well and then tried to bring him back also. Because you do need 4 D tackles, right? And I know you're counting Milton Williams as one. So you've got Cox, Hargrave, T.Y. McGill, and you could say Milton Williams. The weird thing is that I know the team kind of feels that Ridgeway is the more steady Eddie guy and McGill is the flash player. But McGill's flashed pretty well. You got to say he's had a really good preseason. But you know what? Deshaun Hall had like the greatest – was it Deshaun Hall? He had the greatest preseason I can remember from a defensive end 2 years ago. They did keep him, but then they waived him 3 weeks into the year, and he went to Washington, and no one's heard from him since. Yeah,
he tore his ACL, unfortunately.
That's right.
Final game some years ago. But yeah, he you're right. Hall flashed. He might have led the NFL in sacks in the preseason that one year. He would barely play when they kept him on the roster, but because as you said, he put together such a great preseason. They didn't want to expose him to waivers, but he just never made it. And as you said, he's not been hurt since. So again, I've got 9 defensive linemen. Let me see. 40 ends.
I might cut Ridgeway to keep Teron Jackson, and then bring Ridgeway back if I need to, later in the. I mean, is he going to get claimed by somebody? Maybe. You can always find a 4th, 5th kind of defensive tackle. They've been doing that for the last 3 years. I think
Ridgeway, actually, let me just double check. I think Ridgeway might be vested. Hang on a second. He is. He's vested. Yeah, okay. Definitely vested.
So all the more reason to release him and then try to bring him back after week 1.
Exactly, right. Because keeping 5 D tackles is hard. Cox, Hargrave, McGill, Ridgeway, and Williams.
Yeah.
And 4 of them are locks. I can't see McGill being cut after the training. He also did well in training camp. It wasn't just some flash plays in the preseason.
Right. All right. So for the purposes of mine, I'm actually going to cut Ridgeway and keep Teron Jackson.
All right. Oh, okay. I can see that. That's a good
situation.
Yeah. See that?
Linebacker. All right. So this is going to be interesting. Eric Wilson.
Yep.
Alex Singleton is 2. Jannard Avery is 3.
Mm-hmm.
Going to be that Sam backer for now. Davion Taylor makes it because he's a 3rd-round pick from last year. So that would be 4. I agree. T.J. Edwards makes this team. Good backup linebacker. Good special teams player. 5. Do we have Patrick Johnson making this as a 6th linebacker?
I have him. Because they lost Osman. Avery, I know the Eagles have received interest from – there's at least another NFC team that has interest in him. I'm not saying they're going to trade him, but I know that there's interest from other teams. Patrick Johnson has upside to be the Sam of the future. That's why they would keep him. I know they like him. It could go either way. I have 6 linebacker. I'd wanted to really only keep 5, but you and I know Edwards had a good training camp. He's earned a roster spot, so it was hard for me to cut Patrick Johnson.
Yeah, I agree. Here's the weird thing about the Sam position, Adam. We have no idea how much Gannon is going to use it. B, if you're going to have a position, an established position on your defense, you need a starter and a backup, right? Right now, your starter would be Jannard Avery, who's never really played that Sam position, and your backup would be a rookie. Like, he's the one who would have to theoretically start if Jannard Avery was hurt. Jannard Avery is hurt right now with the groin. So I'm like in a total, I could totally see Gannon saying, you know what, we're not going to use this position then. We just don't have what I'm looking for out of that position, and maybe not use it in the defense. So I'm gonna cut Patrick Johnson. I like him too, but they'll bring him back on the practice squad. I think they only go 5 linebackers.
Right, if he clears. See, that's the thing. What we were told in February, I still believe is going to be true. I think they're going to mostly be a 4-2-5 team, which would mean Sam linebacker won't be used very much. See, as we were saying before, is it a 10-play game guy? Is it 25 plays? We don't know. This is, there's probably 5 or 6 things we have not gotten resolved yet. We're not going to know until they actually play against Atlanta. Now in less than 2 weeks. This is great. So that's it. I got 6. A little bit heavy. I thought all along 5, but I've heard some stuff recently how much the coaches like Patrick Johnson, so we'll see.
Yeah. All right. We will see. By the way, I've always thought, I wondered if they want to move when they're in base or 3 linebackers, maybe play Singleton at that Sam, because he can go on the ball. He can play
he can go
in the gaps, and then just put Edwards in as the cover, as the linebacker along with Wilson when you have 3 linebackers on the field. So
you'd like a little more size. See, Avery is shorter, but he's got longer arms. He's well built. You've seen Avery up close. He's very well built for a shorter guy. Right. We'll see. This is one of those, we just don't know enough about this defense yet. There's certain things where definitely will happen. There's some stuff where you go, man, I don't know how they're going to do this.
All right, give me your cornerbacks.
This is the one I struggle with because they have no depth at all. And this is where they're going to add some. They have to. Okay, we know Slay, Nelson, Maddox, and McPherson are making it. I couldn't make it. Like I struggled to keep the 5th because Craig James has been hurt the last 2 seasons. I know they like him for specials. They like the player, but the problem is he knows the defense. He was in it in Minnesota, but guess what? He's been hurt. He's been hurt the last 2 seasons. He's not dependable. Can't help the club at the tub.
Can you make a case for Graylin Arnold?
No. He had some. I'd heard he had some moments. He would be a surprise if he made it. I'll say that much. We're gonna have a surprise at safety. We'll get to that moment. Kevon Seymour, I had him on it and I had him off. This is one that took me like 10 minutes to figure this out. I kept put him on, take him off because he's experienced. Right. That's why you would keep him. They need it. You can't you can't play the season with only 4 corners. You just can't. They're gonna have to add it if it goes like I have it, which probably won't be the case, but they're gonna have to add a veteran at some point. Josiah Scott's got a hamstring injury. I don't know how long he's going to be out. He's got positional versatility, as we know, inside outside. One way or the other, they're going to have 5. Right now, I only have 4 as the guys that I mentioned.
Right. That was my only issue, is that you have to have 5. There's no way they're going to only have 4 corners.
Right, but they'll add one. Yeah.
But they'll add one. All right. So if I were doing, I would put Craig James on it because I agree. Even though he's always hurt, he's probably he's the best of what you got.
I agree.
I wonder though like Elijah Riley. We'll get to him in a second at safety, but didn't he play both safety and corner in college?
I don't remember. But
he went to Army. He's the kid from Army, right?
Yes, he's military. Yeah, I actually saw his agent at the Jets complex. Alan Herman. Yeah, Alan Herman from Sports Stars.
Sports Stars. Okay. Yeah. I'm just wondering that because the 5th cornerback spot is more about special teams than it is about. I mean, you got to be able to play in case you're called on. But it's more about special teams. Craig James is a good special teams player, but so is Riley. And if they thought maybe Riley could be a swing corner safety, then maybe.
Don't think so. I didn't get that feeling based on.
I'm going to have to put Craig James on it. If not, I'm going to have to put Craig James on.
I'm with you. If they keep 5, it should be Craig James. Yes.
Right. Okay. All right. So then, theoretically, all right. Let's go to safety. Anthony Harris.
Yep.
Does Rodney McLeod start on the?
I don't know. I don't know. Again, he's on active PUP. He's count against the roster. Tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern, they have to make a decision. He's another guy. Now I know we see him at training camp rehabbing in a uniform, rehabbing hard. This would be total guess is that he's on the roster of he and Dickerson. Again, we're not reporting anything on this. We haven't asked yet. But as we drop this Monday morning here, this is tough. This is a tough one because he hasn't practiced or played since last season. But they're in a pickle here because of Wallace's injury. You know, this is twice now he's hurt his groin.
Right.
This is what to finish this off. This is who I have. I've got 5 guys: Harris, obviously, Wallace, Adams. For now, I've Adams, who is a special teamer, backup safety, Andrew Adams, and I've got Elijah Riley as my surprise. And it's not because of the injuries. What I've heard is the last couple of weeks is I don't want to say it came out of nowhere. I just not heard anything much about him, and then I checked into it. Everybody's been impressed who needs to be impressed. He's kind of what I've heard. He's kind of earned his right on it. We'll see on Tuesday if he's on it, but I've got him on it.
He's a good special teams player. You need that. He's actually like a really good special teams player. So yeah, I would have had him on my 53 as well, because I think that first of all, with McLeod, his status being unknown right now, Wallace was hurt for a while. You just need some guys who are healthy and productive, and I thought he was both camp. So yeah, I see 5 at least for the first 53. I see the 5 safeties there.
Okay, so you agree? Yeah, because again, Wallace now has had 2. He's injured. He's been hurt twice with his groin, and it's not like McLeod's playing week. Even if he's on the active roster, who knows when he's going to be available? He's got to start. He's going to. You got to think he needs at least 3 weeks, right?
I would think so.
A minimum of 2, and that's stretching it, and then playing the 3rd week. Yeah. But you would want to give him at least 3 weeks. So we'll see, and that's it. That's so I've got it.
So I was with you on the 9 D linemen. I had 5 linebackers though instead of 6, and then but I had 5 cornerbacks with Craig James on it instead of 4, and then the 5 safeties. Oh,
so you got you would have Riley on there. Okay.
Yes, I would have Riley on there.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And there you go.
I got the same intel that you that there was a lot to like about Riley. I mean, not like he's a starter, but just how he's performed.
Yeah.
And his special teams acumen is really a big thing for them too.
There you go. 53 man.
So really, man, offensive line is a guessing game. A little bit, not just with
Dickerson. We just don't know about Dickerson.
But really, wide receiver is a little bit of a guessing game there. Tight end's a guessing game because Zach Ertz and Rodgers, and then of course the linebacker situation, all worth monitoring, and then monitoring again 24 hours later. How aggressive do you think Howie's going to be?
You have got to understand that trade calls have been made for 3 weeks. Nothing that goes down on Tuesday will be surprised to anyone who works for the Eagles because they've been working on this for several weeks.
Sure.
I'd be stunned if there are no trades. I can't imagine they're not going to be trading somebody.
Right.
Or acquiring somebody. They've got this roster needs help, man. It's as you and I were going through this past weekend coming up with our list, and you just outline it how many we're keeping in position, although you seem to differ a little bit than I do at some positions. It really just outline as you go through this, as you think about it, where they're just not good. They're not good at receiver. And that's why, to me, unless they get blown away by a trade offer, I'm keeping Hurts. Look, they didn't get it done by the draft. They need quality pass targets. You got to help Hurts out. Hurts and Hurts, they should be playing together this season.
Yeah. Well, back to the days of 12 personnel, which everybody
I know,
so much.
But you know what? It's one season. Help the kid out. Give him as many quality pass targets. I don't think let's put it this way. If you trade Hurts, you better get a pass target back.
Mm-hmm.
Not just a pick. Get a pass target. Get somebody who can help you.
That's what I see, Adam. I'm wondering in the past, you're right. You've seen a lot of player for pick type trades. You might see some player for player trades here because you're trying to actually help the roster for this year as well. I mean, they've got a crap load of picks for the next few years. They really could. Yeah. So real quick on some guys who aren't going to make it and whether or not they have some value. I mean, Matt Pryor and Sua Opeta. We did not list them on our 53. Matt Pryor is a guy who will get a job. I mean, he can be exhausting to watch at times, but he's not completely devoid of talent. And there are times he plays well enough where he could be some other teams like starting right guard, to be honest with you. So I would think I don't know if Howie will get anything for him because everybody knows they're going to cut him, but I could see him getting a job pretty quickly.
I could. Yeah, you're right. He's got position versatility at one point, and he was fairly highly thought of in terms of being a top backup. Mm-hmm. Brett Toth, definitely. I know he played guard.
Thank you. I meant to mention him. I totally forgot to mention him. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't see him making it. Now, if he clears waivers, I could see him being on their practice squad. He's a guy that Jeff Stoutland really likes. Played a little guard here the last game. I just don't think he's ready to be that guy coming off the bench or somebody got hurt to start. We know he got thrown in there. last year by necessity because they had nobody else. I don't see Suapeta making it. That I just don't see him. Everyone else I have making is better than he is. That's the bottom line.
Right. Here's the thing with Toth, though, Adam. To be fair, if you're just judging performance, has Brett Toth played better than Andre Dillard?
Just they're not exactly apples to apples, but because they're not.
Yeah.
But I get your point. You might.
I haven't seen Toth trucked.
Case.
That's all I'm going to say. I haven't seen Toth getting continuously trucked by anybody.
Yeah, he's gotten trucked. It's So
he real quick. The reason why he got on my radar a little bit as he might make this 53 is for what you said. I don't know if people recognize this in the game. He started at left guard.
Yeah,
he's been a tackle the whole time. They started Andre Dillard at left tackle and they started Toth at left guard. And I thought, wow, that's interesting. They clearly wanted him to start with the second string offensive line and get him in there, get them reps. And they put and it wasn't Opeta at left guard, right? Because Opeta played. Did he play right guard there or was it Pryor? I don't know. I'd have to go back and remember. But I just thought that was interesting. I thought that was a good thing for Brett Toth. And maybe if they don't hang on to Dillard and somebody gives him a third round or whatever, you can maybe keep him on as a backup.
Well, I would say this before we close it out. They just have a numbers issue on the offensive line. That's why I don't know how they justify keeping Toth and with Herbig. And if assuming Dillard's not traded, Driscoll, who they really like,
right?
Raven Clark has got a better. He's the one because he's got positional versatility. It's just the wrench is Dickerson being on taking him off NFI or not. If they keep him on NFI, then that helps solve it because that he would not count against the roster.
Well, I got to put my mea culpa in though, because I do remember several weeks ago when we were talking about the preseason game against the Steelers.
Okay.
Do you remember what we said? Because Dillard was hurt, and I said, what are they going to do when Jordan Mailata comes out of this game? They're going to go put Brett Toth at left tackle? Are you kidding me? I said that. And you know what? He's held his own. So he is.
I don't remember that. Okay.
So, remember we had a big laugh about it? Like, oh my God, Brett Toth is going to be your left tackle for quarter 2 and 3 or most of quarter 1 and 2.
Oh, you mean last year? You mean last year?
No,
right?
this year.
Oh, because I remember it's so funny. We said on the show when they had to play him, it was late in the season.
Yes, that was against Arizona.
Right. We said if you hear his name starting, that's not good.
Right.
And
it wasn't good at the time. But no, he's played well this preseason. And he, I was worried that he would come in after Mailata came out against the Steelers, who are blitzing left and right and would be completely overwhelmed. But cough it up to Jeff Stelton. Another fine job there.
Look
like a NFL tackle.
I think at least in the personnel meetings, he should be a discussion, whereas coming into training camp, there never would have been a discussion, but he might be in a discussion to keep it. Again, it's highly unlikely they keep him.
Right.
But it's just the number of situations the teams have, and it's the McLeod and Dickerson dilemmas. They'll know obviously physically where they're at. It's just a matter of when do they think they could they could play? When do they think he's ready to practice, each guy, and then when do they think he's ready to play? Because with Alshon Jeffrey, boy, did it shot them in the foot last year. That it totally backfired on them.
Definitely.
I don't know what happened. That will go down on one of the greatest mysteries of the Eagles' decision making in terms of roster. I don't know what the heck happened last year with that one.
No doubt about it. All right, let's close it out. Our next podcast Thursday morning, we'll have everything, all of the moves, everything recapped and explained for everybody. That'll be a very exciting pod that we always love to do this time of the year. Q&A will be out Wednesday morning, as it always is, and we will keep you posted on what we're doing this week is from ITB TV standpoint, whether we're doing an interview or an Ask ITB. So that'll do it for this episode of Inside the Birds, the leading podcast in Eagles Intel. Want to thank our producer, Hunter Brody. Check out his work on YouTube. His channel is called Sports Talk with Broads. His website is broadsmedia.com, and his Twitter account is @Broads81. And as always, we thank you for flying with us inside the birds.